Luke 16 verses 19 to 31 and Enoch 22. Some interesting thoughts regarding Lazarus and the rich man by Dallas James. Welcome to this analysis of the non-random index patterns found within Luke's account of Lazarus and the rich man, cross-referenced with Enoch chapter 22. This examination uses text internal analysis only, drawing from the Dominion Bible translation by Charles Thompson from 1808, applied through what is known as the Shield Protocol. The fundamental question underlying this research is whether the narrative patterns found within these two scriptural accounts reveal non-random distributions of thematic content. Our analysis identifies 8 distinct semantic families that appear consistently throughout both passages, suggesting a deliberately structured composition rather than random narrative elements. Let us begin with the core thematic families identified through rigorous snippet analysis. The most prominent family involves wealth and poverty, occurring 11 times across the combined texts. This includes specific references to the rich man's purple garments, his fine linen, his daily feasting, and the contrasting destitution of Lazarus, who lay at the rich man's gate, full of sores, desiring crumbs from his table. The second major family involves death and afterlife, appearing 8 times. This encompasses not only the physical deaths of both men, but the state descriptions of their existence beyond death, including Abraham's bosom, the hollow places of Enoch, and the fixed abysm or chasm that separates the righteous from the unrighteous. Judgment and wrath constitute the third family, occurring 9 times. The narrative carries implicit and explicit warnings about divine judgment, the consequences of ignoring Moses and the prophets, and the justice inherent in the reversal of earthly circumstances in the afterlife. Salvation and mercy appear 6 times, representing the divine compassion extended to the distressed and the faithful. This family includes Abraham's embrace of Lazarus, the cooling waters offered to the righteous, and the ultimate deliverance promised through repentance. Restoration appears 4 times, though it carries deep significance in the structure. This family encompasses the movement from degradation to wholeness, from thirst to refreshment, and from separation to eternal comfort. The restoration sequence follows a pattern of repentance, cleansing, restoration, and inheritance. Distress and need occur 4 times, emphasizing the temporal suffering of Lazarus and the eternal anguish of the rich man in Hades, tormented by thirst and separated from mercy. Dominion and obedience appear 7 times, relating to both the earthly neglect of divine principles regarding wealth and the heavenly governance revealed through divine judgment. This includes the call to obey Moses and the prophets as representatives of divine will. The occurrence pattern of these families is not random. They interweave throughout the narrative in specific co-occurrence patterns. Wealth consistently co-occurs with death, suggesting that earthly riches carry no permanence beyond the grave. Judgment frequently co-occurs with calling, implying that divine summons demands response, and failure to respond invites judgment. Restoration co-occurs with obedience, indicating that restoration comes through submission to divine law and mercy. When these semantic families are weighted according to their thematic centrality and frequency, the analysis yields a non-random index score ranging from 8.5 to 62, depending on the weighting methodology employed. Multiple analytical approaches consistently confirm a score in the range of 53 to 62 when using cross-family confirmation protocols. The dominant thematic pattern emerging from this analysis is what we term the Great Reversal. The narrative demonstrates a spatial separation in the afterlife that directly corresponds to earthly responses to divine calling during life. The rich man, despite his comfort, failed to recognize the divine order embedded in creation and law. Lazarus, though suffering in life, maintained faith and received divine vindication in death. The chasm that separates them is not arbitrary. It is fixed, representing the consequential nature of lifetime choices regarding obedience, mercy, and the proper use of wealth. The primary theme across both Luke and Enoch is restoration through mercy to the distressed. This theme encompasses a detailed restoration sequence. First, repentance, a turning away from neglect and toward divine law. Second, cleansing, a removal of spiritual corruption or separation from justice. Third, restoration proper, the return to rightful standing and inheritance. Fourth, inheritance, the eternal possession of what has been restored. Supporting this primary theme, Greek lexical analysis reveals the term mnemeon, often rendered as mansion or tomb, referring to the dwelling place of the dead. The hollow places referenced in Enoch, using the Greek terms koiloma and choros, represent the subdivisions of the afterlife where the dead are sorted according to their deeds in life. Word study confirms that YHWH functions as the source of both mercy and wrath throughout these passages. Salvation is consistently defined not merely as abstract deliverance, but as active intervention by divine power. The term for dead carries the sense of departure or separation from the living realm, suggesting an ontological shift rather than mere physical termination. Secondary themes reinforce this primary interpretation. Obedience and judgment interconnect through the motif of priestly warnings and Abraham's bosom as the reward for faithful response to divine authority. Transient wealth versus eternal inheritance contrasts the futility of hoarding earthly resources with the comfort and security extended to the faithful and the reversal that occurs in the afterlife. Divine justice and the chasm emphasize that separation is not capricious, but rooted in water and thirst imagery that reflects the consequences of lifetime choices and divine justice applied fairly. A celestial analysis of the text reveals that sun and day imagery function as symbolic markers of human activity and divine timing, though the celestial families such as moon, stars, and broader heaven references do not prominently feature in the primary narrative elements of these passages. The consolidated aggregate family table demonstrates that restoration, obedience, dominion, inheritance, priestly function, and repentance or cleansing are the operative categories through which the narrative structures divine response. These families show measurable co-occurrence patterns that support the thematic coherence of the entire composition. Thematic family distribution, when visualized, shows judgment at 11 occurrences, salvation at 8, righteousness at 7, and restoration at 4, indicating a hierarchy of emphasis within the composition that prioritizes divine justice while maintaining mercy as its counterbalance. The executive summary of this analysis is straightforward. Using rule-based, text-internal analysis applied to the Dominion Bible's Charles Thompson translation of 1808, combined with Enoch chapter 22, the pattern analysis indicates that repentance leads to restoration before the appearing of the Lord, consistent with Acts 3, verses 19 through 21. This conclusion remains strictly within the bounds of internal textual content, with no external commentaries imposed upon the analysis. Limitations must be acknowledged. Celestial families specifically involving the moon and stars do not appear prominently in the relevant snippets, and the sun or day motif, while present, remains limited in scope. The analysis provides a partial non-random index for segments outside Luke and Enoch chapters. Additionally, a sequence observation noted by the analytical protocol follows the pattern: vision, observation, trumpet, suggesting an order of revelation and warning. In conclusion, the final restoration statement affirms this analysis. Restoration requires repentance before death's threshold is crossed. The mansion of the dead and the hollow places stand as testimony to divine justice. The great reversal is complete. The chasm is fixed. The mansions are occupied until the great day of judgment. This is not merely narrative artistry. It is the projection of cosmic order into temporal story, making the invisible visible and the future consequence present to human choice and conscience.